class number 2 of Barrows in the holding pens. Illa Ahalt, Court Bassler, Courtney Bell, Adelaide Flannery, Jonah Grossnickel, Gwen Ladd, Zach Mills, Braden Wetzel, and Bailey Wynn.
really good way to start off the day with this market show, and I'll tell you what, I'm extremely excited to be back and sorting through these market animals today, especially with how extremely competitive and how very good that showmanship deal was last night. I'm very excited to see the market animals that we bring out today. That being said, the one that I land on in this particular class is this young lady's belted barrow over there to my far left. I just think that one puts the most good together in terms of studying that one from the side, in terms of that one's build, that one's height of shoulder, length of front end. This is technically the underweight class, and I still read that hog to have a lot of future left in him, a lot of grow if he does have a place to go after this particular show. I just think there's a lot of future there. Very good hog to start this particular class. Young man's black-headed barrow is going to be second, and this one's loaded with neat animal shape. He's big and square right behind his blade, works a tremendous amount of shape down his back. I just read that one to be just a little bit more laborious in his movement, if you will, off either end of his skeleton. I think if we can make him a little more angular in his blade and make him go a little better off his rear too, maybe we switch that pair, because like I said, that guy's loaded with a lot of shape up high. But a very good barrow in his own right to be in second. Young lady's belted hog from the side probably struck me as hard as any of them. I really love the shape of that one's skull. I like the way that one balances and proportions from the side. Problem for me is when you step right in behind that one, he just wants to push his hog a little too much for me. He's a little too far out of bounds in terms of where he sets his rear foot. But I think if you fix him there, he's easily up a place or two in class, because I do think that's a very good hog when you study him. I think is also very good just in terms of squareness of the ground, balance, and soundness. We just need to put a little more shape in that guy when we step right behind him, a little more shape up high. Young man coming out next with this hamster appearing hog, one that's got a lot of shape. I think that one's really fresh, really youthful in his appearance. Just need to fix that one in terms of appearance and fix that one off the ground. Working our way down the line, this next pair coming out, they're square, they're sound, they're athletic. They're good in the defensive build. Just need to give them a little more shape and a little more look when you study them from the side, but I think they're both good in their own right. Working into our last two, the same sort of a deal. We just need a little more width, a little more muscle in these particular hogs, but I think just in terms of soundness and in terms of their basic build and feedability, I do think there's a lot of good for them to be at the bottom of the class. Again, let's congratulate all these exhibitors as they hit the fair.
It's supposed to be 6, 9, 15. This is only other pins? No, I got one more.
Placings of class number 17, which is our first class of lightweight barrows. First place went to Kaylee Wiles. Second place to Zach Mills. Third place to Mackenzie Whipple. Fourth place to Faith Scarzello. Fifth place to Leon Crum. Sixth place to Emily Pittenger. Seventh to Landon Saylor. Eighth to Colton Wetzel. And ninth to Michaela Burner. Reading down your program should be scratch 9, 5, 2, 6, 7, 4, 8, 3, and 1. We need to keep the aisleways clean behind the holding pens. One parent per child, unless you're helping. Following the conclusion today of the show, if you are going to sell in the sale on Saturday, you have to get your picture taken. That is for the online part of that sale, for online bidding. Also, when you come up and turn in your papers, there's some thank you cards that you need to sign as well. We're ready for class number 3 of lightweight barrows in the holding pens. We should have Peyton Baker, Brianna Cheney, Jonah Grossnickel, Chase Hawkins, Jordan Inskeep, Delaney Ogg, Dalen Ogg, Avery Pollock, Ty Stevens, and Kaylee Wiles.
On this. You're not doing very well.
Congratulations! Congratulations!
Another good group of these underweight hogs, and I'll tell you, it's actually kind of a shame that they didn't quite make weight, because I do think that the top 3 or 4 that we have out here are very good hogs, and I think especially our class where if that one's got 40, 50 more pounds on him, then I think he's lights out good. That's that young lady's the kind of sandy colored one over there to my left. She's going to start this particular class. Just in terms of soundness and feature, when you study that one at the ground, at the front end, length of neck, I really love that one's look when you study him from the side. I think he's got enough shape up high, especially for his weight and age. I'd probably like to make him just a little wider as he goes away from me, but I do think that's a very good hog, and I would really like to see him in a market class with another 30 pounds on him. But a very good hog to start this particular class. A young lady down here, light one, I really like to see that one out in a bigger setting as well. I really think this one's good, just in terms of skeletal width, squareness, and just internal width and dimension. I think that one's got a ton of meat animal shape up high, just a really good market hog from a fundamental and basic standpoint. I really just like to see that one bigger. young man over here to the left kind of worked his way up in this particular class. When you start checking the boxes, this one's wide, this one's square, this one's got a lot of shape up high, and I think when you have those three things, that goes a long way in a market class, and that hog certainly does a good job there. Just need to rearrange him and make him a little better looking from the side from a build and balance standpoint in order to beat the two ahead of him. But a very good hog in his own right to the third. Working into fourth, this is one I liked when I first came out of the gate. I thought this was a very good hog. Just like to freshen him up really, especially at this weight. He shouldn't start to be working up in his time the way he is. Probably need to fix him there on his front feet, but I do think this one's wide. I think this one's square and has a really good rear leg weight into him. But congratulations to him on a good barrel in fourth. Working our way into fifth, this young lady's chromed up barrel, one that's really bold ribbed, really big and dense there when you study him from blade to hip. Just need to see a little more shape as that one goes away and give him a little more pin width there and make him a little wider at the ground. But I do think that's a big rib, kind of productive looking hog to be sitting this far down the line. Young lady spotted hog that's coming out next. I think for this breed, this one's good, this one's athletic in terms of her rear leg. Just need to see a little more shape, a little more width and power in that one to move her up any down the line. These next two coming out are well, especially this one. This one is extremely muscular, extremely shapely up high. This one just needs to be a little more comfortable, and I'm kind of thinking this one might have suffered some sort of injury earlier on in his life, and that's kind of dampering his movement out here. But I do think there's a lot of meat in that particular hog. Coming out, the next two in line are one and the same. They're square, they're sound, and they can get out and go. And I think from a fundamental standpoint, they're going to make good feeder hogs that somebody can go home and continue to feed on. But today, in this ring, they just need a lot more width and a lot more shape. So let's give a big round of applause for all these exhibitors that are exiting.
What about there? What you guys consider them? What about there? Not right now. I'm doing berries first. So she's that was class 18 and she's 22. Too good.
Two classes. Go back to freedom. Yeah. I was doing the barn before.
Placings from class number 2, which is actually class 18 of lightweight market barrows. First place went to Courtney Bell, second to Gwen Ladd, third Jonah Grossnickel, fourth Zach Mills, fifth Isla Ahalt, sixth Adelaide Flannery, seventh Bailey Wynn, eighth Court Bassler, ninth Braden Wetzel, and 10th Delana Bryant. Reading down your program, it should read 5, 8, 1, 6, 3, 2, 4, 9, 7, and then the add-on for Delana Bryant, 10. We're ready for class number 20 of lightweight barrows in the holding pens. We need Kobe Burrier, Zach Glum, Desmond Grogan, Julia Morrow, Chloe Mathias, Blake McGee, Riley Rook, Madison Stolberg, and Zachary Thompson,
Okay, bring one.
We'd like to welcome back our judge this morning. Noah Typhon is the assistant herd manager at Ottenwater Show Pigs, where he works with over 300 sows, 25 boars, and countless show pigs. He's been involved with the livestock industry since a young age, even though I would kind of argue he's still kind of young. That's my little added point. Growing up in Klamath Falls, Oregon, he and his two siblings grew up exhibiting successful hogs at the local, state, and national level. Noah attended Lynn Denton Community College, where he was a member of the 2016 and 2017 livestock judging team. Afterwards, he attended Chico State, where he was a member of the 2019 livestock judging team that finished third in the nation. Noah enjoys working with show pig customers and judging shows across the country. Let's welcome him from all the way from California to Maryland.
Really good trio of Barrows. round to start off what is the official market hog show, and I think that all three are extremely good. And I do think that the one I land on just covers the most bases and does the most good, puts the most good together, just in terms of squareness of build and in terms of foot and bone and feature. And then when this one gets out and goes, I think he's extremely athletic and long neck. Some people aren't a fan of the breed, but I'm going to pick this spotted hog to be your first place in class today. I just think that one's awfully good everywhere he's studying. You know, I'd like to see him a little more dished up in terms of his shape up high, but I think that's being critical of one that's very good and very good, especially for that particular breed. I think this young man's hog over here to the right suits me second best, and he didn't make that first initial cut, and he didn't catch my attention, and I didn't really gravitate toward him right off the get-go. But the longer I study this guy, he's really big in his chest, really opened up at the base of his rib cage, and as a result, he probably reads with the most shape and expression up high through the upper part of his rib cage and down his back. And then you study that one go away. He's square in his hock, he's athletic in his rear leg, a really good kind of hog to be sitting in second. Young lady over here in third, I really thought that was going to be our class winner when that one came out of the gate. Tall fronted, long necked, and good built, good design from the side. That one just doesn't quite have enough in terms of skeletal width. We need to stouten that one up in terms of foot size and bone. We need to take that one to the surface. But I think a very good hog just in terms of squareness and soundness, and in terms of that one's skeletal build. A very good hog to be sitting in third. Young lady in fourth, another one that I think's got a lot of shape up high, very expressive, a lot of meat animal shape packed into this one. We just really need to stouten that one up at the ground, probably pick him up a little on his front pastern, and maybe fix him a little as he goes away. But if you just want to talk about the basics of having width and muscle, that one's got a lot of it. Congratulations to her. Young man coming out with the blue hog, another one I thought was really good built, good design from the side, tall fronted, long necked, and level looking. You step right in behind him, but from this angle, he doesn't quite have enough in the seat of his pants. Needs to make that one a little bigger ribbed and a little bit wider going away, just in terms of pin width, but a good hog in his own right. Working our way down the line, we got one that's just pushing a little bit too much finish, in my opinion. I'd just like to clean that one up to the lower third of his skeleton, make him a little better in his flank, because I do think that one's wide. I think that one's got some shape. Good hog there. The one coming out next I let out because quite frankly I really don't like listening to hogs scream, believe it or not, and I think this hog's very good. This one's got a lot of shape behind his blade, works a tremendous amount of width there when you step right in behind him. Just need to make that one a little better from a build standpoint. Working our way down the line, the bottom three, we just got a little bit of a menagerie of some skeletal things that I'd like to fix. Need to need to make that one taller in terms of his front end. Make him fill out a little bit through the center part of his body. I think these bottom two are just a little too over finished, especially for this weight and age. But congratulations to them on bringing in a good project. Again, let's give everybody a round of applause when they exit.
Placings of our third class of lightweight barrows. First place went to Rihanna Cheney. Second place to Ty Stevens. Third to Kaylee Wiles. Fourth to Avery Pollock. Fifth to Jonah Grossnickel. Sixth to Peyton Baker. 7 to Jordan Inskeep. 8 to Chase Hawkins. 9 to Delaney Ogg. And 10 to Dalen Ogg. Reading down your program, it should read 6, 1, 5, 8, 7, 9, 10, 4, 2, and 3. Can the following kids meet when it works? If you're in the show ring, don't like panic or anything. Missy Donnelly at the back table behind me, kind of near the scales. You're not in trouble. This is not a naughty list. Colton Nussbaum, Gwen Ladd, Court Bassler, Ty Stevens, Austin Nussbaum, Janet Inskeep, Kobe Burrier, Josh Weibel, Delaney Ogg, Jordan Inskeep, Ashley Lescalite, JC Inskeep, Kenzie Hood, Peyton Reinhardt, Kenley Nussbaum, Sam Highland, Aubrey Knott, and Isabella Thompson. If we can have our first class, hold please, of medium weight barrows in the holding pens, Caitlin Bell, Peyton Campbell, Katie Glass, Camden Grossnickel, Justin Inskeep, Gwen Ladd, Aubrey Lambert, Luke Scarzello, Madison Stolberg, and Keandra Strickhauser.
Hi, Zach. How are you, buddy? Good, how are you? All right. You have really improved so much.
Hey, come on. He's doing you don't understand.
No, there's two eligible classes.
Oh, okay.
4 eligible lightweight classes. This one is big.
We're trying to bring him up here.
Got it too.
A really good class of lightweights, and I especially think that the top three here is very good, and even though I do think all three are very good, I think this young lady's Blue Barrow wins this class and does so fairly handily in my opinion, and the hogs keep getting better as they're getting bigger, and I think this one is very good. Tall fronted, long neck. That one's really stout and big legged when you study that one at the surface and up, and then you get right behind him. That one is really big pinned and really wide when you study him at the ground, and yet he's square in his hock and athletic in his rear skeleton. Just a really good kind of lightweight barrow to be sitting in first. The young lady right in front of me is going to be second, and I think that one follows suit just in terms of skeletal width and rib shape. Step right in behind him. He's got a great big rear leg working in him, and I do think that he's very big there in his pin set, and he's wide when you take him to the ground. Just need to give that one a little bit better running gear. Maybe need to get that one going a little quicker, make him look more just as athletic as the one ahead of him, but a very good pair. Young man's belted barrow. I think if we were to just get behind him and make our sort there, just in terms of width and shape, I think this one is probably the best of the three. Just in terms of that one's raw and genuine shape, working behind his blade and down his back. For me, that one wants to push and roll on his hawk just a little bit too much. We need to redesign that one from a skeletal build and balance standpoint when you study him from the side, but a really good hog in terms of width and muscle. Same to be said about this young man's Berkshire coming out next, one that is packed full of meat animal shape and what I just call a meat wagon. I mean, this guy from every angle is wide, he's three-dimensional, huge rib, huge pin. We just need to make him go with a little more comfort and ease. We need to lift him up in terms of at the point of his shoulder and in terms of his front end, and just make him more attractive when you study him from the side. And I think we need to make him go just more comfortably, but a very good hog in terms of muscularity. Coming out next, we got one that's square and one that's got enough shape up high. Just need to give this one a little more set and angle to his blade. Let this one go a little better out of his rear skeleton. He's just a little too straight and restricted there in my opinion, but a good hog to be sitting this far down. Young lady's blue barrel, for me, for this one's moderation and length of body. I think he's just got a little too much finish, a little too much lard on him when you get right behind him. The one that's certainly wide and does have some muscle. Coming out next, we got the same kind of a story. I think this one's just a little overcooked, especially for a lightweight, the one that's certainly wide and stout. Working our way down the line, we have three of them that I think are sound hogs, and they're good just in terms of squareness and in terms of being able to get out and go in the show ring with some athleticism. But they just need to have a lot more width, a lot more shape, and a lot more power in order to compete with the ones ahead of them. But again, Coach can help me congratulate these kids on the job well done.
Placings of class number 4. First place went to Madison Stolberg, second to Riley Rook, third to Desmond Grogan, fourth to Blake McGee, fifth Julia Morrow, sixth Zachary Thompson, seventh Chloe Mathias, eighth Zachary Thompson, 9 Kobe Burrier, and 10 Zach Crum. Reading down your program, it should read 9, 10, 3, 5, 7, 4, 2, 1, 6, and 8. Right now our judge is going to be picking the champion and the reserve champion lightweight market barrow. Coming back into the ring from class number 3 is Rihanna Cheney, first place, and Ty Stevens second. From class number 4, our first place was Madison Stolberg, and second was Riley Rupp.
Hi, good morning everyone. While your judge is making his selection, I just wanted to give an introduction here and a warm welcome from the Board of Directors of the Great Frederick Fair. My name is Jackie Cray, and for those of you who have been around here long enough, I used to be down here as the swine superintendent. So it's good to be back down in this area and see a lot of familiar faces. We're so glad to have our exhibitors back again this year for a full fair. We're so happy to see everyone here today with us. Thank you to all of our parents and supporters for getting our kids back to the fair this week, and thanks to all of our kids for being here and participating in our show. Have a great market hog show and a great rest of the week here at the fair. Thank you.
very happy with this lightweight champion drive, and I'm getting very excited to see some of these middleweights and heavyweights come in, because I think for a lightweight drive, I think the quality of hogs we have out here is very good, and I think all four of them are similar in terms of being very good built hogs. I think they're tall fronted, they're shorter bodied, they balance and proportion the right kind of way, and yet I think all four of them have the right kind of width and the right kind of shape to be considered good market animals. And so once you kind of make that decision that they're all wide enough, they all got enough shape, they're all good enough bodied, then you get to break them down a little bit from a skeletal standpoint and from a build standpoint. And to me, there's one that I just think is very, very good, and I love showing pigs like this. This guy's tall fronted, he's big and square in his chest, he's athletic as he goes when you study this one in his rear skeleton. Just a really good kind of hog to be your lightweight champion. Let me put the mic down for a minute, and I'm going to go shake your hand. Thank you.
Congratulations to Madison Stolberg. She's the winner of the champion lightweight Barrow.
I really wanted to keep the second one out right off the bat so I could compare him to this other class winner out here, because I think that decision gets very, very hard in my opinion. Just talking about that spot real quick, for what he represents and for that breed, I think this one is very, very good. And to make these spots to be tall fronted and good looking and still be right in the setting angle to their blade, that's not an easy thing to do. And this one is very square, very big legged. I guess the question I keep asking myself is, that one just have enough hard shape right behind his blade and in his back, and I guess once you kind of make that decision whether it's good enough there, then that's a very, very good spotted up hog. A young lady's belted barrow, when we talked about in class, was awfully close to our lightweight champion. Love that one's height to front end and length of neck. I think this one patterns up extremely good from the side. You probably get right behind him, like to rearrange him a little bit in terms of his hip and make his rear legs just go a touch better. That being said, I'm just going to put the mic down and pick the one I like second best. Help me congratulate him when I do.
Congratulations to Riley Rook. She's your reserve champion lightweight market barrow. We're ready for our class number 2 of Middleweight Barrows in the holding pens. Colton Atwell, Chastity Campbell, Sam Highland, Aubrey Knott, Blake Campbell, Ty Stevens, and Braden Wetzel.
What's your last name, honey? Yeah, congratulations.
And then you start sitting there. And after you get them squeezed out, then you start playing mostly back out. So those three at the top.
really a fun class that we run into to begin our middleweight barrows. And I do think that these three are very, very good. And yet, similar kind of story to our lightweight champion. One really comes out and kind of runs away with it. And it's this young lady's belted hog right here in front of me. One that reads so square and wide and true on all four corners of his skeleton. He's big and square and bold in terms of the shape he's got right behind his blade. And when you set him down his back, sure, I'll be the first to say I'd like that one to be a little bigger and rounder and deeper ribbed, but I do think for this particular weight and age and stage in this one's life, this one's very fresh, very youthful, and very athletic when you get him out and go. A really good place to start. Young man's started up kind of calico looking hard over there to the right. It's going to be second. One that I just got to really like, and in terms of skeletal width, rib shape, and true muscularity when you study that one on the top side of the skeleton. A really bold and square, like the turn of teeth he's got to his rib cage. Just a good kind of market hog to be in second. Young lady's blue barrow is one that I really like in terms of the way that one patterns up from the side. Tall fronted, long neck, really level. I'd probably like to shorten that one actually in terms of that one's length of body. I'd like to make that one just a little stouter when you take him to the ground. But a good kind of hog to be in third. The young man coming out next is doing an awesome job and putting in a lot of effort to get this one shown. And I do think that there's some good in this hog. This one's square. This one's awfully athletic. And you study him in the ring, obviously. I do think that one's got some shape. Just need to make him wider there at the base of his rib cage and in the lower part of the skeleton. This pair of young ladies coming out next. I think this is a very good hog. Just in terms of skeletal width, I think this is a hog that's fed well. This one's really bold and really big ribs, and I really commend this pair of young ladies coming out here and working extremely hard and getting this one shown right. Congratulations to both those two exhibitors. Young lady coming out next with the belted hog. Lots of shape, lots of muscle, lots of power. Just need to change that one from a skeletal perspective, especially through that one's front end. One coming out next is square, sound, good built, good looking. Just need to see that one opened up underneath and through the lower part of the skeleton, his skeleton, in order to move him up any higher in class. Same to be said about the Duroc hog that comes out next. One that's tall fronted and actually a little big, if you will, in terms of his frame size for this particular weight. Just need to make this one wider and just get this one bigger and bolder up high. The one's coming out next, we got a Berkshire looking hog that I think is square. This one's sound, good in his basic build. Just need to give this one a shot more muscularity up high. That kind of tri-colored deal right there. One that's square, sound, good kind of fundamental, just basic market hog, but one that just needs a little more power in order to compete with some of these very good show pigs in the top end. A very good job.
Placings of our first class of medium weight market barrows. First place went to Madison Stolberg, second to Justin Inskeep, third to Caitlin Bell, fourth to Luke Scarzello, fifth to Keandra Strickhauser, sixth to Katie Glass, seventh to Aubrey Lambert, eighth to Peyton Campbell, ninth to Gwen Ladd, and 10th to Camden Grossnickel. Reading down your program, it should read 3, 8, 6, 10, 2, 9, 7, 4, 1, and 5. Coming into the ring is our second class of medium weight barrows. We're ready in the holding pens for our third class of barrows. We have Chloe Glass, Morgan Grossnickel, Jonah Grossnickel, Matthew Lewis, Zach Mills, Galen Ogg, Avery Pollock, and Keandra Strickhauser. If anyone is missing a set of Jeep keys, I have them. If not, I'm going home in a new car. I just gotta find it.
Katie said she'll go claim it.
Oh, that's me. I forgot.
Chloe in? She's next class. I know, but is Chip getting her? Yeah. There they come.
Really good, another really good middleweight class to work into, and sometimes you just run into these classes that sort themselves out and do it easy and then do it. Really good, another really good middleweight class to work into, and sometimes you just run into these classes that sort themselves out. Love the shape of this one's skull, and talk about just a rugged looking barrow to start this particular class. Young lady's blue barrow is in second, and again that one just kind of sits right there, and that's exactly where that pig needs to be. That thing's tall fronted, long neck, really sound when you study that one on the drive. But in comparison to that Duroc, our class winner, that one's just not near as opened up through the lower part of his skeleton. That one's just not near as bold and shapely through the center part of his body, but one that balances really well. And one you gotta like it from a skeletal standpoint. Congratulations to her. Black Hog in third that just wanted to hug the rail. You know, honestly, maybe that one moves up a spot over this blue barrow if we can get a little better look at him. I think that there's a lot of quality in that particular hog. I think that one's square. I think that one's sound. And I think that one's got some shape. Just really wish we had a little better opportunity to study him out in the center of the ring. But a very good hog in his own right. And I think she did an awesome job and gave a lot of effort. Coming out next, we have a kind of Tamworth appearing deal out here, and one that's got a lot of shape and muscularity when you study him right behind his blade and down his back. Just need to make that one go a little better on his rear too, especially his right rear. Just a little too suspect in that right hock in terms of swelling. A very good job on a good, well done showing that pig. Working our way down the line, we have a white barrow that comes out next, one that's certainly wide, one that's certainly got a lot of just natural thickness. Probably like to make this one a little more comfortable as he gets out of his front end. Probably need to trim a layer of fat off of that guy in order to move him up a spot or two, but a good hog in his own right. Working our way down the line, we got a blue hog that is sound. This one's athletic. He's just starting to read a little staler over his chine, and right there in between his blades, getting a little slinky topped on us. I think if we were to just freshen that one up, give him a little more shape up high, he moves up a place or two, but congratulations to him. This Berkshire hog coming out next, just need to make him a little different from a skeletal standpoint, open him up at the ground, give him some more shape, but congratulations to him.
Placings of our class number 2 at medium weight barrows. First place went to Ty Stevens, second to Aubrey Knott, third to Chastity Campbell, 4th to Sam Highland, 5th to Colton Atwell, 6th Blake Lambert, and 7th to Braden Wetzel. Reading down your program, it should read 5, 3, 4, 2, 6, 1, and 7. At the conclusion of this class, we'll be picking our champion and reserve champion medium weight barrows. From class number 1, we would need Madison Stolberg and Justin Inskeep. From class number 2, we need Ty Stevens and Aubrey Knott. We have a new person in the ring. I'd like to welcome Caroline Clark. She is one of our Fair Royal Ambassadors. Let's give her a round of applause.
Where did you place? 6. 5th. Good luck.
Get out quick.
What's your name, sweetheart? Caroline, I'll be back with you.
really an interesting and rather challenging class to work through, and I say that because there's really not one that just jumps right out at you and says that this is the obvious class winner, and nor is there a lot of obvious this one needs to go to the bottom. And so when they're all kind of similar and have a lot of varying degrees of issues here and there or different things you'd like to change, and no one pig is really that much alike, it gets awfully challenging. And I think when it comes down to it, I'm the most comfortable with picking the hog that's the squarest at the ground, the one that's the soundest, and the one that gets out and goes right. And then when you study this one from a compositional standpoint, I think this one reads fresh, this one reads genuine in terms of shape and width, and you get it right on top of this particular hog. Is this one just lights out gorgeous when you study him from the side? No, I'd like to lengthen him out of his neck a little bit and maybe redesign him a little in terms of his hip, but I do think this is the best hog out here in this particular class, and that's this young man's belted hog over here to my left. Studying between the two, there's a lot of differences between second and third, and for me, the one that follows suit to our class winner next best is this young lady's spotted up Berkshire looking hog over here to the right in the corner. One that's really wide at the ground, one that's big and opened up there at the base of that one's rib cage, huge and round in terms of his in between blade and hip. I think that one has got a lot of shape and power and spread up high. Probably need to trim just a little bit of fat off of that one, freshen him up ever so slightly, and I actually think he might get around that one that wins the class. This is really my problem hog of this particular drive. When this one comes out, this one is stout, this one is dense, this one's got a lot of big square shape up high. I like the shape of this one's skull. There's a lot of power in this hog, and really he looks like a show pig from the side. My problem is he's just struggling too much for me to justify putting him up any higher. We need to change the way this one gets out of his front end. We need to make this one stronger and better in his front feet. And I think if we do those things, we could probably justify moving him up a spot. But from a comfortability standpoint, he needs to be third today. Working our way down the line, we got one that's big rib, lots of shape, lots of power. We just need to fix this one in terms of his front end assembly. He's starting to get a little cresty, and he's just a little bigger there, right at the crest of his neck and right there in his chine. Pressure him up there, and he moves up a spot, but a good hog in his own right. Coming out next, we got one that's very square, very sound, extremely long neck, very tall fronted. Just need to see this one thicker as he goes away. We're working our way down these final three that are exiting the class. I think all three of these hogs are wide. I think all three of these hogs are big ribbed, and I really don't think they've had a problem getting on the feeder and having a good rate of gain. But I think maybe as a result of that, they're just a little too overcooked in my opinion. Just from a finish standpoint, need to peel a lot of fat off of these guys in order to make them better market hogs. But I do think they did a very good job with the project. I think these hogs have obviously fed well for these kids. Help me congratulate all of them as they exit their end.
Placings of class number 3 of medium weight barrows. First place went to Zach Mills, second to Keandra Strickhauser, third to Avery Pollock, fourth to Chloe Glass, fifth to Jonah Grossnickel, sixth to Matthew Lewis, seventh to Morgan Grossnickel, and eighth to Dalen Ogg. Reading down your program, it should read 4, 7, 5, 6, 1, 8, 3, and 2. Now our judge is going to be picking our champion medium weight market barrow and our reserve champion. I'd like to thank Christ Auto for sponsoring the banners this year. They really are beautiful and they look so good in our pictures. Let's give them a round of applause. We're ready for our first class of market hog heavyweight barrows. First, Delaney Clark, Kaylee Dinnerman, Trey Glass, Morgan Grossnickel, Bradley Jordan, Austin Nussbaum, and Marshall Stevens.
Let's get a big round of applause for this middleweight drive out here. These kids are working hard. I think the quality got ramped up a little bit as we get into our middleweight drive, and the decision here really isn't easy in my opinion, and there's some things that I'd like to change on both my grand and reserve, but I don't think they come without flaw, but they are very, very good, and I think both of them are different in their own right. Just talking about the two in no particular order, this Barrow, man, this thing is an absolute beast. Every angle, this thing is extremely dense. This thing is extremely big rib, huge in his chest. I love this one's height of front end and length of neck and stoutness of skull, while still being that short back. It just gives a really, really good look from the side. It's really hard to make red ones that pattern up that kind of way. Now I would like to square him up a little bit in his hock. I think he wants to push and roll, especially in that right rear ever so slightly. I think if we square him up there, then it's no question. But I think that's a very, very high caliber kind of a Duroc Barrow. This young lady's belted hog, I think is one that's extremely good when you talk about width and squareness and still being very attractive and good looking from the side. When this one drives right at you, this one's really pulled apart in his chest. He's really square at his knee and square at the ground, really up on his pasterns, and still reads right from an angularity standpoint. And I certainly like those things about him. I guess when you start comparing things, that one's probably not the boldest and biggest and roundest in terms of his rib cage, but I think he's really tall fronted, long neck, very proportional and well balanced from the side. Just wish he had a shot more body and rib in him today. Like I said, I think that a guy could really go either way, and it is an awful hard decision to make. That being said, I'll stop talking, put the mic down for a minute, and go select our champion and reserve.
Congratulations to Ty Stevens. He is your champion middleweight Barrow. We need Aubrey Knott in the ring.
We bring out that second place Barrow, and one that we talked about in class, just being good, just from a basic build and fundamental standpoint. This one's square at the ground, this one's tall fronted, this one's long neck. I think he's fresh and youthful enough when you study him there through his head and neck and crest. Now I would certainly like to open this one up there at the base of his rib cage. We need to make this one a shot stouter when you take him to the ground. Maybe make him a little fresher and more expressive in terms of his shape up high, but one that just covers a lot of the bases of what a good fundamental hog is. And I do think that the decision, once that Barrow gets out here, becomes very close and becomes very challenging. I kind of like, I like one an awful lot to be reserved. Let's just help me congratulate this particular exhibitor when I go and shake her hand.
Congratulations to Madison Stolberg. She is the winner of the Reserve Champion Middleweight Barrow. We're ready for class number 2 of heavyweight barrows in the holding pens. Isla Ahalt, Mila Pollock, Peyton Reinhardt, Riley Rusa, Braden Uzarowski, and Colton Wetzel.
Very good drive to start off our heavyweight division, and we find a barrow out here that I think is extremely good, and it takes about 5 seconds to know exactly how good this hog is, and that's this young man's barrow over here to my right. He wins this particular class and really does so for fun. Tall fronted, long necked, he's got a huge amount of shape right behind his blade and down his back. He's really opened up at the base of his rib cage and really bold and round there, and you study him in his rear skeleton. He's awfully athletic there and very athletic considering. That one's got a great big rear leg working in him. Just a really impressive hog to start off this particular class. Between the next two for second and third, I think the decision gets awfully challenging. I'm going to go ahead and use this young lady's chromed up barrow here in second. But one that just offers a little just a little fresher, a little square shape, working down the top side of his skeleton. I think this one's square and true and wide at the ground, especially when you study him going away. Just a really good, fundamentally correct kind of a market hog. Young man right here that's going to be third, one that's probably has a little bit of an advantage in terms of soundness and angularity off either end of his skeleton. For me, that one just gets a little plainer and a little flatter in terms of the upper part of his rib cage and in his shape up high, but one that you certainly have to appreciate just from a looseness of skeleton perspective. Coming on down the line, we have one that gets out and goes very well. Tall fronted, long neck, patterns up the right kind of way from the side. He just wants to narrow and funnel when he comes right at me down to the ground. He's probably just the flattest there in his far rib. He's starting to creep up a little there in his chine, but a good kind of hog in terms of squareness and soundness and athleticism. young man coming out next with this heavy-eared, half-belted hog. One that I do like in terms of that one's rib shape and body shape. I think that one's got a lot of muscle up high. Just need to make him wider when you study him at the ground, especially going away. And the next two coming out are hogs that certainly don't look like they've missed a meal. They're really big-bodied and they're the right kind of hog from a composition standpoint. Just need to rearrange them and change them from a skeletal perspective. And if we do, I think they move up a spot or two because they got some width and they got some muscle. Help me congratulate all these exhibitors as they exit the ring.
Placings of class number 1 of our heavyweight. First place went to Austin Nussbaum, second to Haley Dinnerman, third to Trey Glass, fourth Marshall Stevens, fifth Bradley Jordan, sixth Morgan Grossnickel, and seventh Delaney Ogg. Reading down your program, it should read 7, 2, 3, 6, 5, 1, and 4. We're ready for our class number 3 of heavyweight barrows in our holding pens. We need Abby Dinnerman, Shane Duty, Hunter Dove, Jordan Inskeep, Ryan Jordan, Austin Nussbaum, Margaret Shoemaker, Sean Sweeney, and Joshua Weibel.
Excuse me, young man, put your phone away. Dude, you're in a show ring.
Really a high caliber lineup of heavyweight market barrows, and I think there's two of them that a guy's got to make a decision between, and I guess for me the one that's just got a little higher quality look and design when you study him from the side is this young lady's belted hog over here to my right. One that I just think balances and proportions a little better than the one in second when you talk about making them taller fronted and long necked, and still read that stout in terms of their skull and that stout and big in terms of their foot and bone size. When you take him to the surface, still read that one to be very square and athletic as he goes. Just a good kind of hog to be sitting in first. a young man with this blue barrow. He ends up in second today, and one that I really contemplated starting this particular class, because I do think this one's got a lot of width, this one's got a lot of shape, and I do think he's got a great big rear leg working in him. For me, this one's just a little too short and steep and off in terms of his hip design, and then in relationship to the one that beats him, I just like to rearrange the way that one's front end assembly is put together. But that's a really neat looking hog that's got a lot of width and a lot of shape, especially when you get right on top of him. Good kind of hog to be sitting in second. Young lady's Duroc Barrow probably has a little bit more of an advantage over the one in second in terms of length of hip and levelness of hip, and that one certainly goes very good when you get right in behind him in terms of that one's rear leg. Just need to stouten that one up when you take him to the surface, give that one a little harder shape up high. Working our way down the line, we've got this young man's Hampshire-looking barrow, and one that I do think is good just in terms of skeletal width, rib shape, and just a carcass value. But for me, that one's just a little too off and different in his rear skeleton. Just need to make him a little more comfortable and a little more attractive from the side. Both these two coming out next are ones that are starting to push a lot more weight, and as a result, I think this young lady's barrow maybe suffered an injury, but I think that injury is a result of that one just being too wide and set out there in his rear leg, and as a result, we have to put him down in class because he is struggling an awful lot in his rear skeleton. But that hog still has a lot of muscle, and there's still some meat shape and carcass value there. So congratulations to her on a job well done and giving a lot of effort with that project.
Placings of class number 2 of heavyweight barrows. First place went to Peyton Reinhardt, second to Riley Rusa, third to Isla Ahalt, fourth to Brade Muzorowski, fifth to Mila Pollock, and sixth to Colton Wetzel. Reading down your program is 3, scratch, 5, 1, 2, 4, and 6. We're ready for class 4 of heavyweight barrows in the holding pens. Liliana Crum, JC Inskeep, Jana Inskeep, Ella Jacobs, Ashley Lescalite, Colton Nussbaum, Kenley Nussbaum, Delaney Ogg, and Rebecca Sweeney.
A very, very fun lineup of heavyweight market hogs, and I'll be honest, I never thought I'd see the day that in a crossbred show and a non-breed show, my first, second, and third place hogs in a crossbred deal would be what appears to be purebred Durocs, and that's an awfully neat deal, and all three of these hogs are very, very good, and I really do think that 4 red ones, I think these ones could go and compete at the highest level. I think you take ones that look like this to World Pork or your State Fair, and you get along awfully good. That being said, there's one that I do think is the best one, just in terms of putting the most good together. And when this one drives right at me, this guy is huge and opened up through his chest and really big there at the base of his rib cage. As a result, I think he's got the most natural thickness and spread up high, especially right behind his blade and working down his back. And you steady him from the side. This guy's awfully good in terms of height to shoulder, length of neck, still reads fresh and youthful there in terms of his crest. With that being said, the young man over there is driving your class winner there on the far right. A really good kind of a hog to be first. And then between second and third, I do think it gets closer because I think they're a little more similar in terms of type and kind. They're a little cleaner and neater looking, if you will, in terms of their throat and in their jawline. And for me, I think there's one that just reads a little fresher, a little more youthful when you get right on top of them. And that's this young man's Barrow over here to my left. He's going to be second today. Really good job. I really like that you're showing red ones. A young lady that ends up third today probably would have won this class if it weren't for two other Duroc Barrows that they came in here. That one is really good looking and really good built and good design when you study that one from the side. I love this one's front end assembly just in terms of the way that one's blade is laid into him, especially for a red one. That one's up on his toes and really good looking there. Just need to change him a little bit in his hip, and that's a little bit of a breed deal, but I'd like to lengthen him out there in terms of his hip, make him a little wider as he goes away, but that's a very, very good trio of Duroc Barrows. Coming into fourth, we kind of got the meat wagon of the class, if you will. This one's very wide, very heavily muscled, and very just dense in terms of foot size and bone. For me, I just can't justify using one this bow-legged up there in class. You get right behind her, you need to square this one up in his hock, and it's starting to make him awfully uncomfortable at this weight and this size and this age. I think if we fix him there, there's a lot of good in that hog, a lot of carcass value for sure. A young man coming out next, one that's got a big, fresh, youthful back working in him. Just need to change the way he goes away. Need to fix that one's rear leg and make him more coordinated and more comfortable as he goes. A young man's red belted deal that comes out next. One that's square, one that's sound, one that patterns up reasonably well from the side. That one just reads a little too narrow and a little too flat today in order to work his way up the line. But I do think he has a lean disadvantage over these ones in the bottom. Coming out next, we got some hogs that I think are probably pushing the limits just in terms of finish, but I do think they're all very square, very big-bodied hogs that certainly haven't had a challenging time reaching their terminal endpoint just from the standpoint of rate of gain and that kind of a deal. But again, help me congratulate all these exhibitors as they exit the ring. Thank you.
Placings of class number 3 of heavyweights. First place went to Austin Nussbaum, second to Shane Duty, third Abby Dinnerman, fourth Jordan Inskeep, fifth Hunter Dove, sixth Ryan Jordan, seventh Joshua Weibel, eighth Margaret Shoemaker, ninth Sean Sweeney. Reading down your program, it should read 3, 2, 5, 4, 6, 1, 8, 9, and 7. We are ready for class number 6 of heavyweight market hogs in the holding pens. Garrett Campbell, Beckett Cave, Delaney Clark, Jordan Inskeep, Ashley Lescalite, and Taylor Weibel.
Delaney. Oh, Delaney.
Coming next. It's the wrong tag number on the one that dad's keeping. Wrong tag number.
extremely good drive Martin Hogs here, and I think it is extremely competitive between these three barrows that we have out here, and I really do think that I had it a couple different ways in my head, and for me, when it came right down to it, there was just one that I was so much more comfortable with day in and day out, and sometimes I can get conflicted a little bit as having a breeder mentality or having the mentality of being someone that was in the show ring, or being the mentality of someone that helps their little sister feed and try to win big shows. And when you start thinking about those things, there's just one out here that I would be the most comfortable breeding. I'd be the most comfortable with feeding this one, and I'd certainly be the most comfortable being behind this one in a backdrop or at a show. And with that being said, that's the young lady's belted hog over there to my left. That's going to be the class winner. One that's just got so many extra things working for it in terms of foot size, bone, and proportionality when you study him from the side. Very tall fronted, very long necked, and dense and stout in terms of his skull, and yet he's got a really big chest. He's really square in his knee. Sure, I'd like to freshen him up a little bit right there at the crest of his neck. He's starting to show a little bit of age and maturity for me. Regardless, I think that's an awfully good pig to start the class. And then I think it gets extremely hard between the two for second and third. And I guess for me, I just think it's most impressive to have a down-eared white one that's this good, and she's going to be second today. I think especially, and I'm guessing he's a landrace, and when you have to guess if they're a landrace or a chester, if they're a landrace, that means they're very good, and I'm a really big fan of that one. Big-legged, big back, square, sound, secure, tall-fronted, long neck, a really good purebred hog to be sitting in second, and that leaves this young man in third. And honestly, I think there's some guys that would prefer this hog over the two ahead of him. That one's got a big fresh back working in him. He's square, he's sound, he's athletic, and I think all that's good. I think in comparison to the two in front of him, he's not quite a big in terms of foot size and bone. I don't think he's as neat looking through the front 1/3 of his skeleton, but I do think that's a very good hog to be sitting in third. Working our way down the line, we got another one that's really wide, very stout featured, a very heavily muscled kind of hog. I just need to square that one up as he goes away, fix him in terms of his rear leg, make him more comfortable. Got a very good meat animal in his own right. Young lady coming out next, one that's square, sound, and awfully athletic. Just need to shape that one up in terms of muscularity, especially right behind his blade. Just like to see him a little fresher. Young lady coming out next, we got another one that's starting to show just a little bit of age and maturity and staleness, if you will, over the top side of his skeleton. But I do think that one's wide and big body, and certainly hasn't had a problem reaching his terminal endpoint. Young lady's a spot coming out next is another one that's big bodied, certainly properly finished, really good in terms of condition. Just need to see that one a little wider at the ground. We're working our way down the line. I think the next three are really in the same category. I think they're wide. I think they have some shape, have some muscle, and have some performance to them. Just need to make them a little different from a skeletal perspective. But again, help me congratulate these three at the bottom of the class as they exit the ring.
Placings of class number 4 of our heavyweight barrows. First place went to Ella Jacobs, second to Kenley Nussbaum, third to Colton Nussbaum, fourth Ashley Lescalite, fifth Jana Inskeep, sixth Rebecca Sweeney, seventh Liliana Crum, eighth Jana Inskeep, ninth JC Inskeep, and 10th Delaney Ogg. Reading down your program, it should read 7, 9, 8, 5, 1, 4, 3, 2, 10, and 6. Our final class of heavyweight market barrows are coming into the ring. In the barns, we're ready for our getting in the holding pens, our champions for the heavyweight drive. Out of the first class, we would need Austin Nussbaum with 68.40. Haley Dinnerman with 69.67. Out of class 2, Peyton Reinhardt with 68.12. Riley Russo with 68.04. Out of class number 3, we would need Austin Nussbaum with 68.48 and Shane Duty with 68.88. And out of class number 4, Ella Jacobs with 68.07 and Kenley Nussbaum with 68.43. Just a reminder, who out there likes bacon? We're selling lots of bacon on Saturday. So make sure you come back, help these kids out on Saturday up in the beef show ring. The swine will be part of the sale that starts at 1 o'clock. So come support these kids. There's add-ons that you can do if you don't want a whole pig, but it sure is tasty.
We get into our final class in this heavyweight division, and it's certainly been a very good one, and I think the one that I land on, I think wins this class and does so fairly handily in my opinion, and that's this young lady's Calico Hog over here to my left. I just really like this thing when you're sitting from the side and in terms of foot size, bone, and the way that one proportions from the side. Sure, I'd like to clean him up in whatever kind of mange situation he's got. I think if you clean him up there, he has a little fresher, a little more youthful appearance and look about him, because I do think that's a really good hog in terms of density, in terms of foot size, bone, and look, especially when you study that one from the side. Good kind of hog to be sitting in first. Young man's Duroc Barrow is going to be second today, and I do think this one's got a lot of good to him in terms of skeletal width and squareness and rib shape. Get right on top of him. This guy's really big and bold right there behind his blade, and works a lot of shape down his back and into the upper part of his hip. And where his advantage over that Yorkshire hog really lies is when you get right behind him and watch him go away. He's much wider at the ground and much wider, bigger pin and bigger back. A very good kind of market hog to be in second. Young lady's Yorkshire Barrow, one that I think she obviously has worked her tail off. I think the skin and hair is right, and her showmanship is good, and I certainly think that it's not from lack of effort that she's third. That one just needs more muscle, plain and simple. That one needs to be bigger pinned, wider at the ground, and just thicker as a whole. Working our way down the line, this spotted up hog is one that does have a little more width, a little more shape. Just like to change this one and the way that his front end is assembled, make him a little taller fronted, a little clearer looking there through the front third of his skeleton. Working our way into this Duroc, one that I do like better in terms of his height, the shoulder, length of neck, and extension up front. I think he patterns up well from the side. That's another one that just needs more when you get right behind him. Just not enough hog there in order to move him up in class. Young lady's spot that rounds out this lineup is one that's square, one that's sound. Just need to see that one thicker and heavier muscle, but I do think one that is very good in his own right. Again, congratulate her as she exits the ring.
Placings of that 6th place of heavyweight Barrows. First place went to Delaney Clark, second to Beckett Cave, third to Ashley Leslie, fourth to Jordan Inskeet, fifth to Garrett Campbell, and sixth to Taylor Weibel. Reading down your program, it should read 5, 2, 1, 4, 3, and then the add-on of Taylor Weibel for 6. You will not see that last class in this championship drive. They're going to be on Weight Watchers with me.
Let's get a really big round of applause for our heavyweight driver here. Extremely deep division in my opinion, and we get all our class winners back out here, and I think what they all have in common in terms of good is they're all square and they're sound and they're athletic, and then you get behind them and they're square in their hop, they're good in their rear skeleton. You watch them come at you, they're all really big in their chest, square in their knee, and open up really good in their rib cage and their shape up high. And then I think there's a lot of differences yet because in my opinion, especially at a county level, good comes in all shapes and sizes, and not every one of them is going to be the same, and I think that's okay. And then I think there's a lot of personal preference that comes to mind in what I like and what I like to see, just in terms of the way one balances up from the side and the way the other one doesn't. Again, I think any guy could get into this ring and make a different decision here in the top, because I do think it is extremely close and extremely good. And we already talked them in class, so I'm not going to talk them too extremely hard, because all four of these barrows out here are very good hogs, and I think a guy could take these to the highest level of competition and get along very good. That being said, please make some noise for our champion when I go and shake their hand. Congratulations to Austin Nussbaum.
your champion heavyweight Barrow.
We're bringing out that one that was second in cost, and one that I remember talking about being just really good from a fundamental standpoint and from a meat animal shape standpoint. That one's really bold and square and fresh right there behind his blade. Works a good amount of shape down his back, and I do think that's a very good hog in his own right. That being said, there's another one out here that hit me tremendously hard in class, and I think pushes that champion extremely, extremely hard, and I really wouldn't mind having barrows like this one day in and day out. I just really think this is a good kind of hog. I think when I started comparing the two, this one just doesn't read quite as fresh and quite as youthful, in my opinion, especially there in terms of his head shape and the crest of his neck. I think maybe if we make this one just a little fresher, a little more youthful, then that pair just gets unreal in terms of being very close and competitive. That being said, help me congratulate our reserve champion.
Congratulations to Ella Jacobs, your reserve champion heavyweight Barrow.